Hello everyone, I'm Rob Peacock, work for Samsung, and I'm Head of Learning and Development for the UK subsidiary in the European office. So learning and development as a function exists to enable the business to hit its strategy and its objectives through the performance of its people. So put really, really simply, myself and my team help people get better at what they do, which helps the business to deliver what it needs to deliver. So that could be anything from improving a particular skill sets which are common across the business, such as understanding of technology and digital marketing, sales and advertising, those sorts of skills. But it also encompasses the people's careers and people's developmental journeys. It touches on areas such as employee engagement, making sure people are happy. It touches on areas like well-being, making sure people are well and healthy and happy at work. So yeah, learning and development in a nutshell is about helping people get better at what they do.
So tell us a little bit about, what you were like when you were 16 and what was going on for you, and what did you think you were going to do, and what challenges did you have?
Yes, so things that mattered to me at school, if I'm being honest, was having friends and being around people I liked and being popular and making people laugh, and all the things that probably wouldn't be the top of a teacher's desires to be at school. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. In fact, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do when I left school. And what I did know was that if I went to university and got a degree, then I might be it would give me a bit more time to understand a bit more what I did want to do. Things changed a little bit for me when I was able to be opened up to topics like business studies, which were very practical and which I could see the application. I always liked practical application rather than kind of theoretical things. And, I never really had a propensity for things like maths. It was all a bit too abstract for me. Whereas when I could really understand about business and understand how organizations work, I started to engage more in education. However, I still left university not knowing what I wanted to do. And so I applied for a graduate scheme. I applied for a few, but I got on a graduate scheme at Lloyds TSB on a retail scheme working in a branch network. And I'd love to say that it was all part of a plan, but it wasn't. I just knew if I worked for a big corporation with lots of opportunities, then somewhere along the lines, I would understand a bit more about what I wanted to do. And that is actually what happened. I got to understand more about business, and that's where I started to really understand what it was I actually wanted. I'd like people to think about, imagine it was their birthday and their parents decided to treat them to a slap-up meal, so they can have any meal they wanted, and any meal in the world. What people would do is they'd think about, they would then go back and they'd pick their favorite meal, and maybe it's steak and chips, or maybe it's a curry, or maybe it's fish and chips or something. But either way, whatever the answer is to the individual person about the meal they would choose, they would only ever choose something they know. So they're unlikely, if they don't know about Indonesian cuisine or Thai cuisine, they're not going to choose Indonesian or Thai, and yet it still exists, and it's lovely, it's delicious. And it's exactly the same with careers and the same with roles. You only know what you know, and there's far, far more than you don't know than you do know. So I think just being open to experience and recognizing you don't have to have your life planned and sorted out at 16 or 18. In fact, you can't have it because you simply don't know enough. You need to experience the world of work, and you need to learn and grow. And actually think about when I was 18, 19, over half of the jobs that exist today didn't exist back then. Yeah, so how could I possibly, digital learning, a lot of what I do now, it didn't exist when I was graduating. So how could I possibly have wanted a career in it? I think it's really valuable for young students to recognize that, that it's about experimenting, it's about trying stuff out, and it's about recognizing they don't need to have their life plan at a young age because there's so much they don't know.
And so what I'm wondering is, if you had kind of top 3 pieces of advice or 2, whatever it is, for young people, maybe, I suppose, learning from your experience as they're just starting out in the world of work, what would you say are the key things to consider?
The first thing I'd say is ask yourself some really big questions. So one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins is, successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers. So think of some big kind of hairy, scary, catalytical questions. Like, for example, imagine you're 65, you're looking back on your life. What is it you want to have achieved? What is it you want to have done? Now, whatever the first thing is, you're going to find that really, really difficult. And don't worry, it's intended to be difficult. But if you start asking yourself that level of questions, your brain, that subconsciously starts to try and find answers for you. And answering that question, it immediately begs the next question, like, what's your current reality? And the gap between your current reality and where you want to be, that's your learning path. You know, that's for you to go out there and explore and have fun with and bring into creation. And that then makes the third point to that question is, what's the logical next step? So if, for example, that you really want to run your own business and you really want to be your own boss and have a big successful business, and that's the dream, then actually, you know, where are you now? Clearly that can't happen tomorrow, next year, the year after. This is a long-term thing. But what are the industries and areas that you think you might want to run a business? So for example, if you get energy from food and cooking, then maybe it's something in hospitality, maybe it's running your own restaurant. So a good logical next step might be to go and check out what's happening in the catering trade and try out a job in a restaurant, you know, or if it's having your own, something to do with construction or building and having your own building firm, then again, you know, check out what local building companies are hiring and try some things out. Ask yourself some really big questions, then have a look at, okay, what's my current reality? And then what's my logical next step to make that dream happen? So that's the first bit of advice. Second thing is, what's your strengths? What are you good at? What gives you energy? And by that, I don't so much mean technical skills. I mean, is it being around people? Is it, you know, more mechanical things? Is it numbers? You know, what are the things you know that you're really good at? Because whatever they are, that's where you want to focus your career. You know, you're far more likely to enjoy a fulfilling and successful career if it's aimed in an area that is playing to your strengths. It's really, really difficult to get good at things that you don't enjoy. So that's the important thing. The second thing, what are your strengths? The third thing is, think every single job and every single thing that you do is a learning experience. So, you know, I've flipped burgers at McDonald's. I've worked in the checkouts in supermarkets. I've packed boxes in warehouses. I've done all sorts of things. And I really, really hated some of those roles. But actually, when I look back, all of them provided me with invaluable experience. So if you're in the world of work now and you're hating it, well, think about what are the good things that you get from this? What skills and what experience are you getting? What I discovered in my probably late teens was I much preferred roles in places like restaurants and cafes than I did in warehouses, purely because, you know, I'm not that practical a person. I like people and I like people interaction. And that was an early clue really as to where my career should be aimed. So that was the third thing, is that every single job is a learning experience. And then finally, I'd say find your spark in life. You know, find a thing that really engages you and really switches you on. And, you know, when time just passes and you don't notice it, you know, that's an idea, that's a clue that you're working towards something that is purposeful for you. So dream really big and make it happen.